Well, welcome everyone to LEMD's live educational series. We're so grateful to have you here as we continue our mission to educate, inspire, and empower your wellness journey. I'm tonight's host, Brenda Rios, LAMD's social media manager. This episode is part of our men's health series, where we take a deeper look at men's health, covering performance, hormones, stress, and longevity. At LAMD, we go beyond telehealth. We're creating a community centered on education, innovation, and meaningful support. This series is one of the ways we help you access the science, tools, and insights needed to thrive at every stage of life. Today, we're honored to welcome back Dr. Serif, a chiropractor, entrepreneur, and leader in regenerative and integrative medicine. Originally from Bosnia, Dr. Krkic moved to the United States in 2001, an experience that shaped his deep appreciation for resilience, purpose, and community. After earning his degree in exercise physiology from the University of Akron, he discovered his passion for chiropractic and whole person healthcare. As the founder of Cell Lifestyle Collective and Cell Vitality, Dr. Kirch now leads a multidisciplinary team redefining men's health through peptide therapy, hormone optimization, and regenerative medicine, helping patients perform, recover, and live with clarity and vitality. Beyond clinical work, he's a father, coach, and creator of the Unbreakable Leadership Camp, where he mentors young men in strength, mindset, and purpose. Dr. Kurtz, we're thrilled to have you back with us. Thank you so much for joining us here again. To begin, can you share what inspired your passion for men's health, performance, and longevity?
Thank you, Brenda, so much for the wonderful intro. I couldn't have done it better. Well, the inspiration really comes from many years of. I also asked my mom and my dad, "What do you guys think of me? What did you think of I was going to become?" And it was interesting. They gave me kind of like, we knew you were going to do something. And so, in the heart of a practitioner, any doctor that's out there that you meet, the basis are really the intentions behind we want to help people. And now in this regenerative medicine world and this constant movement and improvement in medicine, it's been so much easier, but also confusing as well because there's a lot of things out there that are helping people, but there are some things that people are neglecting and hurting themselves with. So I've always had the passion of just working with people and connecting on a deeper level. So this is what I'm doing. And over the last 10 years, my wife and I have partnered up into this dream that we've been wanting to have a place where there is like-minded physicians for everyone to come feel welcome and safe to help them heal, whether they're dealing with mental issues, musculoskeletal issues, they're dealing with internal issues, autoimmune diseases. We are able to help them with the collaborative approach that we've been working on for so long.
I love that. And I love that you also have that focus on men's health both inside and outside of work. So, because this is the men's health series, so to kick us off, can you share how you're currently defining men's health in today's world, especially beyond the physical aspects of it?
Yeah, so there is a big push to have men connect better. So what I've done is I've actually developed a what's called an iron circle. So a lot of times men are missing clarity, and unfortunately, when it comes to clarity, it starts with our intentions for the day. And there's so much there's so much noise out there. We almost have to dodge so many bullets before we even start to do anything. As far as it goes from inside, peptide therapy is something that we have incorporated over the last 3 years, and it's helping the edge just kind of keep the guy going, optimize a little bit more so we can have better intentions. We can recover a little bit better. We can show up for our family a little bit better. We can stand up and be firm in our manhood. So that's what I'm hoping to bring back with 36 years of being on this earth. I hope to inspire and just motivate the potential that every man has and stop the nonsense of noise and the confusionism that we're living in.
I love that. And I definitely want to touch on clarity a little in a few minutes. But since you mentioned peptides, for men who are new to peptide therapy, how would you explain what peptides are and why they're useful? You briefly mentioned that it helps take the edge off. Can you
Mhm.
elaborate a little bit more?
So you're going to see peptides coming across the internet. They're going to be all over the social media platforms. So peptides, we've known of peptides many years. They just weren't available. They were very hard to put together in a lab. They were very expensive. So only few had access to this, Brenda. So think of them guys as signaling agents. That's all they are. We're already born with these type of amino acid sequences that are bounded by a peptide bond. If we go back to chemistry, it's a weak bond, but these are all sequences of amino acids that tell the body something, Brenda, to either increase or decrease, upregulate or downregulate. So if you want a function that improves your sleep, there's a peptide for that. I mean, there's over 8,000 peptides known to us now. I mean, we don't use all 8,000 peptides, but there is a big group of peptides that work on helping patients with hormones, um, uh, growth hormones, and patients that are unable to sleep. There's a peptide. Patients that have pain, there's peptides for pain. There's inflammatory peptides. So, yeah, if that answered the question.
Hmm. And going back to clarity,
Mhm.
which peptides do you find most beneficial for supporting men's mental clarity and emotional balance?
There's few. So growth hormone releasing peptides like tesmorelin, ipamorelin, CJC 1295, sermorelin, those are going to be a class of their own to help us with the growth hormone. Now, growth hormone is like your biggest kind of 18 aging hormone because when if any of you have kids, little kids, you bump them, you bruise them, and the next day they're recover because growth hormone is just surging through their bloodstream, through their entire system. As we age, every 10 years most adults are going to lose about 15% of their natural growth hormone pulses. So, I mean, when you think about that, by the time you're, let's do some math, 40 years old, that's 60% of growth hormone is gone. So it's really, really difficult to bring that back naturally. So an injectable growth hormone analog, growth hormone peptide is the way to go. And they're really safe because the body recognizes these things as natural to them. So there is no need for, I mean, yeah, we want to watch for certain things. We do a lot of extensive blood work. We want to pay attention to such thing as insulin growth factor. You don't want to be pumping something, you don't want to be pumping growth hormone if your insulin growth factor is already optimal and you're growing something different. There's body that the glitches in the body are happening all day long and they happen to every single frame. So you don't want to fuel the something that may be developing into a cancerous site or something like that. But that's very rare too.
Hmm.
So they're very safe. So that's a good group. On the other hand, there's NAD. NAD plus is phenomenal. It's one of my favorite. Now I get to a point where I'm only taking it maybe once every 2 weeks because I'm like bouncing off the walls when I take NAD, and it's really really good for clarity, the brain fog. So if you walk into a room or you come in for your into your pantry and you're like, what the heck did I just come in here for? Well, that's not a good thing. And it's interesting. I was just telling Brenda you that when I was at the conference and there was a big talk on mitochondrial health and dementia, and it was amazing to hear, which is kind of scary, some statistics behind this. Microsoft and social media platforms came together and listen to this, guys. They did a study evaluation on what are people searching for nowadays online? What type of conditions do they want to prevent of getting? And you're not going to believe what the answer was. People don't want to get dementia. So it's especially right now, if you're a 30-year-old, 40-year-old, and your parents are having dementia or dementia symptoms already, or have Alzheimer's or Parkinson's, you're taking care of those individuals and you're realizing, holy shit, I do not want to do this for my kids. So it's a big movement now to really focus in on that mental health. And dementia didn't come when you forgot your Wi-Fi password. I know I'm getting off on a little bit of a tangent, but dementia starts 20 years ago. So these small little incremental effects on the glial cells, which are in the brain cells, like immune cells. So you can optimize this now. You can optimize it with growth hormone peptides like tesamorelin, ipamorelin, CJC, sermorelin, NAD. There is really good peptides like mitochondrial peptides, MOTC, SS31 is really, really good. NAD is phenomenal for any sort of energy. Let's see somebody put in peptides for pain. Peptides for pain, Kim, BPC 157. We've seen amazing results for pain. They don't work immediately, but I've had patients with bursitis in the knee or any sort of like inflammatory acute tendonitis issues, and they inject BPC 157 in the area of an issue. And within 2 or 3 days, it's just like dampens that inflammatory cascade, stops those interleukins, the cytokines, the little signals that constantly say inflame this area and bring that blood flow that necessarily we don't need it there with those different types of cells. So yeah, BPC is I love BPC. Snowboard and last year I tweaked my knee just on going up on the darn lift. And luckily, I went with my good friend, Dr. Jason, and he's one of my best friends. And he's always packing peptides as he's traveling. So he injected me right into the knee and gave me a little bit of TB4, TB4, thymosin beta 4. Oh my gosh, you can heal so many issues with thymosin beta 4. Which does BPC work on as good for chronic pain? Absolutely, absolutely. Any sort of it depends on what it is. If it's I deal with a lot of back problems as a chiropractor. I don't treat back pain anymore the way we treated it 3 years ago. It's just we can have the outcomes skyrocket. Like the prognosis is so good when we integrate peptides within the protocol and plan of the patient. So hardly some of those individuals not they've been to all kinds of chiropractic PT, lasers, modalities, and as soon as we introduce peptides, they respond really, really well.
It's amazing. Yeah, I definitely agree with the NAD. I just take it whenever I am on the cycle, I take a little bit less. Like I do
Hmm.
half my dose now because sometimes I'll take it in the morning and it'll be like 1 in the morning the next day and I'm just like I can't go to sleep.
Yeah, and everybody responds different to NAD. Usually, women that are petite, you need a smaller amount. You don't want to give yourself too much of NAD because it can have opposite. Everything that NAD is good for, you can have the opposite. However, we're also seeing a lot of patients in the last couple of years. We give them these peptides. We give them NAD. And some of the peptides and they don't respond at all. So there is a big alarm on the mitochondrial health. So just this past weekend, there was a big topic on that. So if your mitochondria are not working, those of you that are not familiar with mitochondria, they're essentially parts of your cell that generate the energy. So they will signal the cell to do a lot of functions. So a lot of times that is disrupted. And if that doesn't work, no matter how much fuel you put into your engine, if that engine is not functioning well, if those cylinders are not firing, you're just wasting your money and effort. So there is a big push to really focus on the mitochondrial health. I mean, heck, even methylene blue. If you haven't tried methylene blue, it's a compound. I mean, we accidentally found it with, it's a dye, but it's helping patients with anxiety, depression. It's helping patients with fatigue, long COVID, to just get the mitochondria up and running so that way you can actually utilize nutrients in the body to really focus on recovery. Um, let's see. Some peptides will be removed from, okay. BPC
And
capsule are more systemic, and it seems, yeah, good. Yeah, BPC, Wes, I've given it to patients with ulcerative colitis and
Mhm.
Crohn's disease. So anything inflammatory bowel, like IBS, you can take a liposomal form or pill form, and it's really, really well, works really well. BPC, I always recommend peptides to be injectables. You're gonna get the most out of your money. Heather, yeah, NAD and methylene blue. If you're taking those together, if I was doing that right now, currently, my all of our staff will be dodging me for days because I want to do like 10 things. So when it comes to like clarity with men's health, yes, if you're not motivated to do things, if you're not processing your man like your capacity in your brain, it's not high, you're just putting things off. So methylene blue, NAD, you're gonna get things done. It's like check off the honeydew list. Give me more honey. It's just it's amazing. Yeah.
I love that. And you talked about a lot of peptides. So, how should men think about peptides as part of their broader wellness and longevity plan?
Well, it's also important to know, guys, there is no peptide that's gonna fix everything. Peptides are designed to optimize you. Brenda, you and I talked about it just before we started. There's this huge push in longevity. Millions of people are doing this. They're so concentrated on optimize their body that they forget to live. So just be careful with that. It's like you do get a little addicted. And with that, like you feel so good, especially those men that have not felt good, expect guys that have had ED and then now they literally can go all night long. Um, there's a psychological aspect of being optimized, which is needed, but don't forget to live. Don't get so caught up in doing the optimization. And there's a cycling path. So anything that you're putting in your body that we already have saturated some of the receptors on cells and all of our epithelial tissue, you do not want to oversaturate these receptors and overstimulate things. So there is a really good, in our clinic, we do on and off. So we will start 3, 4 months and then we'll completely get rid of something. So if you're taking BPC, you take it for a good period of time, 12 weeks, and then you take a break. Let those natural saturation of those receptors come back to normal. And then, you can reintroduce a different type of peptide in there. But yeah, it's important to understand that men's health in general, you have to get the basis down. So if you're building a house, the most important thing in a house is the foundation. No matter where you're building this, you have to make the foundation. So hormones for men, it's super alarming. I mean, we're testing men now, Brenda, that are in their early 30s and their testosterone is below 200. I mean, it's just so alarming. So if you are a man that doesn't have any like motivation, no intention, no drive, you can't sleep, you can't, I mean, ED, you have no energy, you're gaining weight and but you're still like trying to exercise, you're not putting on muscle. Forget the peptides. Forget them for a little bit. You got to get somewhere you can test your testosterone, get your hormones levels optimized, and then that's like your basis. You're building a house. And then all the intricate things, the signaling, the pathways, the communication that is inside your home, that's where you can introduce peptides. And I love this analogy because no matter what you do in your home, if the foundation is not there, you are going to crumble. It's going to sink you. Even though you're trying so hard, but you're going to be spending a lot of time, you're going to be spending a lot of money, and you're just on the wrong train for a little bit. And it's going to take you longer to come back and it's going to cost more. So there is a fine balance of really understanding not to jump right into something, get analyzed by a really good place like LEMD. And we have medical doctors there that can give you some insight on what's really good and what's not, and give you some direction at least. So that's long-winded answer for that question, hopefully.
Yeah, I love that. And going into hormones a bit, What hormonal factors are impacting men's mood, clarity, and connections as they age?
What hormonal factors are impacting mood? Well, it's the imbalance of the hormones. There is nothing that a man can feel like a man without optimizing testosterone. And if they're estrogenic, if they got it's an imbalance there, if they're cortisol, the stress hormone. Here's another thing. Most of us men are living in a state of, it's almost the stressed out state. We're trying to provide, we're trying to be the man of the household, but nobody gave us the freaking tools to do so. I'm to be the first one to tell you, yes, I've had a good father, I've had some good mentors, but nobody really gave me the tools to understand what is actually going in my body. How do I modulate myself? So if your hormones are off, you're not going to be able to down-regulate. You're not going to be able to down-modulate. And what does that mean, Doc? Well, here I am driving in on the street. I am calm, collected. The moment somebody pulls out in front of me and flicks me off, I'm get routed. It's like you don't have no self-control. So you're living somebody else's energy. That is not your battle to live. And we see men more often so reactive now that it's caused the it's 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 the macho man. We gotta, this is, I got this. There's a balance there that we need. And unfortunately, men just, we don't feel safe in a lot of environments, and therefore we don't feel like things can arise up so that we can heal from things. So it's all hormonal. And yeah, that's very important aspect that I've been really focusing on in my Iron Circle group. It's three things. It's safety for men, it's deeper connection, and then intention. Creating intentional things with each other, especially with the discussion that we have in our groups. There's no place like that that men can churn nowadays. I mean, we're working with a lot of police officer, firemen, guys that have been deployed and they're now returning back, and there's no organizations for them to kind of come back and just let their feelings out. And their doctors are dismissing them. They're being pushed these pills. They're kind of dismissed. They're like, oh yeah, that's just probably in your head. Here's a pill. Here's an antidepressant, and then it's a cascade of events, and then they get depressed, then they get lack of motivation, then it disturbs their hormones. So it's just really alarming. I don't, if a man is listening out there right now and it's this is resonating, you can reach out directly to me and I will help you. I will help you connect with other men that can potentially just help you, because we've been saving people from suicides, and they would just by talking, just that's it. It's not like going to a therapist, which sometimes is needed. Sometimes the medications are needed, but yeah, it's so sad. I want men to be men like never before, and in the most authentic self. And we just lost that, and we'll get it back. We'll get it back, guys.
Oh, I love that. And going back to clarity, you talk about clarity a lot, often. How should a man who maybe is trying to optimize his performance, what are some steps that he should take to get that mental clarity?
Well, here's one thing that I can give you. This is the $1 million answer. Tomorrow, when you wake up, if you have a bed to sleep in and nice, comfy, if you're sleeping somewhere where there is a lot of snow and cold, wake up, roll out of bed, and say this: I am grateful to have slept in a bed. When you're showering, I am grateful that this warm water is cleansing me and cleaning my hair and my body. So what I've worked with many men in many different caliber and entrepreneurs, leaders. It's just amazing to see that even though they've made it so far in their career, they still don't start their days with gratitude. So if you could wake up tomorrow morning, your life will change forever. Just start saying what you're grateful for. Those words that come out of your mouth, Brenda, and this is for everyone. your cells are actually listening to the frequency of those words. And gratitude and love has the most beautiful frequency. If they did a study on like these petri dishes of water, and they said to one petri dish of water, a glass of water, I hate you. You're no good. You are just no good to the society. You're ugly, and all these bad words. And they said, you're kind, you're loving, you're compassionate. You want to do good things and they measured the frequency and chemical reactions that happen in water. And it was just amazing that how crystallized on the love side in this beautiful picture, and then on the hate and this all this negativity, it crystallized in this ugly picture. So
Mm.
tomorrow, just wake up with gratitude, and things will just start coming like to your mind. You're gonna have different intentions. What I've done is, my wife thinks I'm crazy. I've actually anything that sparks some improvement in my life, whether it's a word, whether it's a conversation that I had with somebody, I write it on my mirror in permanent marker. Doesn't matter what it is. If it makes you feel something different, you can write that word down and just reflect on that conversation, because you never know when somebody's going to inspire you, when somebody is going to say something nice to you that made you feel so good, and just live and breathe in that moment, because you're going to manifest so many other things that are outside of your control, and you'll be kind of laughing. I do it all the time now. It's like, how could this happen to me? There's just no way. But I open it up. So because just don't make big deal out of little things. That's another one. It's all the little things are just packing up just occupancy where you can bring something bigger and better in your life. So get rid of the small little things that don't really matter. Make room for the big things in your life.
Even taking a step back, are there any signs that men can better identify when they're in a state where they might be feeling misaligned or overwhelmed?
Yeah. I mean, one of the first things that men a lot of times get is irritability. And they're constantly doing something. They don't really, I want to listen, sit down. They're very reactive. So I see it all the time. Even though you say something, they're prepping themselves to respond. So they're really not listening. God has given us two ears and one mouth for a reason. Just let's use our listening skills. You'll be surprised on how often you'll actually gain insight on something just by just staying quiet. I think there's like 17 seconds is like the cutoff. If if you stay quiet in a room after you ask a question for 17 seconds, the other person in the room will feel so uncomfortable that their insecurities, things of that nature, will come out. Maybe they're not confident, and they'll start talking. And yeah, but if you're irritable, you're very impatient, that is a sign that the regulatory system, you're stuck in such a sympathetic overdrive. There's somebody pointing a gun into your head, or there's a lion in the room, and your body doesn't understand the difference of that type of fear than the fear of maybe coming up in front of a group of people and speaking. So those are all different impulses back in the body, but the body doesn't understand the difference, so it's always living in the same state. And that's not good, guys. That is not good. Especially, I saw somebody put in, my husband is a firefighter. And Shannon, for you, there's a lot of times that your husband is probably not gonna like want to say certain things because he doesn't want to show his vulnerability to you, because he wants to feel good about himself. And sometimes men just can't lash out all the things to our wives, because we feel guilty of, you don't need to hear this. So they need to turn to somebody that can maybe understand how they're functioning, and just to listen. So
I love
I can
that.
put my
And
link in it's a private group. So if anyone, how do I do this? You know what? Can I just share my phone number in here?
yeah, we'll
Brenda?
also be sharing your Instagram after. So if
Yeah.
anybody wants to reach out, they can do it that way as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you guys watch the Fight Club movie, and they just invite people. So we work on this as well. So it's just iron circle, time and place. No need to confirm if you come in or not. There's no need for any communication. You just show up. If we're virtual, you just show up and we get down to it. Our basis right now is just storytelling. I think stories can really motivate people and let them know that there is somebody out there that maybe could be struggling worse off than I am. And we've seen this a lot. Guys that are suicidal, especially, men that are working as detectives and they see a lot of shit, excuse my French, and they see things happening to young children, young kids, and now they can't come home to their kids. And it really messes up with their brain. And unfortunately, that can really take somebody's life. And so we created this group, and it's an awesome group of people.
That's amazing.
And then, yeah,
And
what happens in Fight Club stays in Fight Club. That's kind of the thing. It's it's an assumption that we make that things that we talk about at the Iron Circle never leaves the Iron Circle.
mhm.
And when you come across a real true man uh, that is proud to be a man called a man, there's some sublingual communication that we can do without even saying. But it is good to get those frameworks down so that way things don't perpetuate.
Yeah, and you mentioned an example was these detectives going through these really horrifying experiences and really changing their mindset. So, what intentional habits do you recommend for men who want to feel more grounded and more focused?
Well, let me tell you something about meditation. And most guys, they're like, "Ah, I can't sit in silence and meditating." And there's a lot of good to meditation. Whether it's guided meditation, there's all kinds of apps out there. Brain Tap, if you don't know what Brain Tap is, anyone in line of duty should purchase a Brain Tap. This is amazing how we can switch off brain waves instantly with a subtle light frequency and sound. So there's a lot of sound therapy devices out there that can help guys really turn on the light switch and turn it off at certain times. So it's very important to address that reactivity and impulsivity with men. We have to kind of like almost get snapped out. Or if we don't get snapped out, then we lash out to everybody else. And so if you haven't tried meditation and then sound therapy, highly recommend getting some tools out there, going to a meditated like retreat or something like that, grounded frequency retreats. Those are all very, very good. I just actually came back from the country of Bhutan about a month and a half ago, and I went to see the monks. And it was amazing just to spend some time with the monks and how their frequency and their energy is on another level. I mean, a monk can literally walk by you and didn't say a word to you just because they sense the frequency, the energy around the aura that we emit, and they just don't want to be part of it. So it's important to kind of work on yourself, find those tools, be intentional of actually proceeding and seeking that type of help and being open to it and being curious. That's a goal with men. We're so like proud to be have that ego that we don't want to accept the little things that work. Um, and women and wives and significant others, we just need to kind of work together, pray for each other, listen to each other and really support each other. So if you don't have a very supportive household, that's very, very difficult.
I love that. Tyler says, love meditation in the sauna.
Yeah, sauna. Yeah, that's a good one, Tyler. Thanks for reminding me. Infrared saunas or even like traditional saunas to detox and just going in where you can turn off all the noise. And yeah, that's really, really good way to just focus on the breath and listening to your heart rate and your breath to kind of shut off all the noise from the outside world. Because right now, I mean, look at the social media. I mean, everyone is guilty. The moment 2 seconds come by, if you don't grab somebody's attention in 2 seconds, it's gone. It's we become like that program where we're trying to get that stimulation, we make us feel a little bit better, but it's a temporary thing.
I love that. And I
Yeah.
know we're coming up on time, but looking ahead, where do you see men's health and modern regenerative medicine evolving just in the next few years? Like, I know you mentioned that you were recently at the longevity conference, so mitochondrial health was being talked about a lot.
Well, it's I think it's shifting. I made a note here. It's shifting from the crisis management for a lot of guys. It's like to more of management. So and optimizations where men are seeking this type of they're interested and they're a lot easier to work with than women because they know they're like, oh, well, my buddy was doing this and he's seeing all these results. I want to do it. And I think it's just shifting from that being having the trust with your practitioner first of all and having the ability to find somebody that you can have safety with to have a deeper connection, which is huge, whoever you work with. And to point something out, if your practitioner, doctor, whoever you're working with, your biohacker doesn't know what A4M is, so Advancement for Medicine is a big organization that they've predicted this 34 years ago. I would highly recommend seeking out a different doctor. And a lot of doctors that are in this realm right now are in the, 30, 40 years of age. Those guys are going to have the up-to-date information. They are going to be the leading doctors in this regenerative movement and anti-aging. So don't practice the 50-year-old crap, that 50-year-old medicine. The medicine 2.0 is what we call it. Every pill, there's a pill for every ill. Just get away from that as fast as you possibly can because if somebody's testing you, somebody said about their testosterone, guys, if you who said something about my total testosterone was 193. You probably didn't want to wake up out of bed. I got on TRT years ago, and now I'm on about 700, 800. Um, it's an amazing things what you can do with optimizing that testosterone. And some of the practitioners out there, they're going to tell you, "Oh, you're within the range." Bullshit. I don't want to be 250 at 65 or 250 at my 35 years of age. Get out of that office, find somebody else that will optimize your hormones. So just be honest and transparent. For some reason, recent few years, I've connected with men. I can just curse in front of them, and that's important. And you don't have to be so professional all the time. And when it comes to men, we connect very good. I had a 65-year-old literally cry this morning because he told me about his heartburn just for a second. And I was like, well, you've been taking this medication for how long, Mr. John? He goes, well, for 40 years. So every time you have heartburn, you're telling me you take a medication, right? Has that fixed your heartburn ever? He said, no. Well, then that is not good. Next time you have a similar symptom, it could be a heart attack, and you take your freaking medication for your heartburn and you don't wake up for a nap. So I'm very passionate about this. So if it resonates for any reason and any capacity, I hope this has motivated you a little bit and just do a little paradigm shift on the medicine that we currently have.
Amazing. Thank you. As we're wrapping this up, are there any parting words or advice you'd like to share with the audience?
Love more.
Love that.
Love as much as you possibly can, and amazing things will happen. There is no better religion than love. When love is the answer, what's the question?
No,
I love that.
thank
So,
I love that. Is there for anyone that wants to reach out to you, what's the best way?
yeah, I just recently started trying to figure out my framework and type of work that I'm doing through Instagram. So, so I'll put it in here.
Yeah, I'll link it
Oh,
here.
somebody just left it in there.
Yeah.
Follow me. Give me some feedback of what type of topics you guys want to hear from. There's a lot in my brain. I just recently kind of stepped into this realm and became very comfortable on camera. So I will be posting a lot and just sharing my story. My wife and I have built already a very successful business, and her and I dynamics. I think a lot of people want to hear about how we managed to manage a household for 10 years, being in business together and having children and having a successful business, providing for people. And I want to show that to you guys so that way we can connect on a little bit deeper level.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for joining us. This was really special, especially during the holidays. So I hope
Yeah.
reaches all the men out there. I saw a couple of comments coming in saying that they're sharing it with their husband and brother. So thank
Yeah,
you so
absolutely.
much.
I hope to do another one with you guys soon. And
Of
you guys have a
course.
blessed Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we will talk soon.
You have a good one, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.